Okay, so it looks like we have a handful of people. So good afternoon and welcome to the Dog Gurus Facebook Live. If you can hear us, oh, you know what? Laura already knew that I was going to ask. Please write in the chat. Thank you so much. Now I don't have to do that whole rigmarole. So we are the Dog Gurus. The Dog Gurus is a coaching company that helps pet care businesses launch, grow, and profit. We also are number one in pet care staff training resources and the only company with content accredited by PAC, which is Professional Animal Care Council, and CPDT, which is Certified Professional Dog Trainer, and RACE, which is Registry of Approved Continuing Education. If you want to discover how to reassure pets of your unwavering dedication to top-notch care and service for their beloved pets, you should learn about PAC. So next week, Amy Hillis, PAC board chair, will be joining us to discuss how certification can elevate your standards and enhance your credibility in the pet care industry. So join us next week, Wednesday, September 20th at 3:30 p.m. And today, of course, I have Carrie, which is always my partner in crime here. I'm always thankful for that. And we have Courtney, Coach Courtney, joining us today.
Hello. Hi,
So,
everybody.
yeah, so we just had our Sustainable Staffing Masterclass. And one of the reoccurring themes that the students kept talking about was how running a business can feel extremely isolating. And you know what? I totally remember that. When I was faced with challenges, I often thought, why is this always happening to me? Like, what the heck am I doing wrong here? But guess what? I wasn't that special. It wasn't just me that was going through these challenges. In fact, a lot of problems are universal when you're running a business. And I did not realize that until I started attending trade shows and becoming part of the Dog Gurus community, which I must say is the best networking community for pet care entrepreneurs.
Yes.
But look, there are several ways and reasons why you should develop your networking muscle. And I'll say that you can look at networking in kind of these two buckets. One is for support, guidance, mentorship, exchanging ideas. And two is for lead generation and a way to grow your business. So, who wants to jump in and kind of let's start talking about how ways somebody can get started with networking today?
Carrie?
Well, there's so many topics that you could kind of go within those two buckets that you said, Shantae. But it does make me think of making connections within your community and how those relationships, the deeper that you start that cultivating of those relationships, how they will benefit your business in multiple ways. Because whether it's veterinarian clinics or local animal shelters, kind of establishing who you are within the community helps to kind of uplift your staff and have them understand the importance of the services that you provide. But it also actually gives some reassurance to the pet parents that attend your facility that you have this network of providers that are out there who support and believe in what your services are. And there's a million ways. And Courtney, you're like the guru of guerrilla marketing, but there's a lot of ways that you can use that networking to turn into lead generation. So whether it's a puppy packet that you provide to an animal shelter for adoptions, or a brochure and taking like a basket of yummy treats for the staff at a vet clinic, anything that you can do to help them promote your business for you is a benefit as far as getting new customers in your door.
Right. And I think a lot of people, when they think of networking in a lead generation sense, they think of going to, let's say, a chamber event or something like that and just passing out a bunch of cards. And what you don't understand about true networking is that the place where the leads turn into referrals, like hard referrals that actually bring in new clients for you, are the places where you're not in there at that meeting to just give out cards, but you're actually there to make relationships with people and see how you can help those other people. So there's an old BNI. BNI stands for Business Networking International. I was in the group for like, I don't know, 10 years, it feels like. It may have been 10 years when I look back. But basically, their motto is givers gain. So the more you help the people in your network, the more that you help them get what they want, they will in turn help you get what you want. And so you're not in it to just get, you're in it to give. And in return, those people start saying, hey, I know someone who needs your help. Hey, I know someone who needs your help. And so it really comes back to you, which is so helpful when you're out there just trying to make it, you don't have a marketing budget, but you're really just trying to get your name out there. That's one way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thinking about it in a way of community, it's reciprocal. You're there to help each other is a
Mhm.
way that you can really make an impact in these. And let's kind of go through of some of the traditional ways of networking. We talked about BEMA, we talked about Chamber of Commerce, getting involved with your local SBA. They have a lot of entrepreneur events and a ton of free resources that you can use. I know when I first started my business, I utilized the one at my community college in Long Beach, California, and they helped me tremendously. But there's also, trade shows, conferences, join an online pet care group. So we have
Mhm.
one available called Grow Your Pet Care Business. That one's pretty active. And everybody's always feeding advice to one another, but also collaborate with rescues, collaborate with vets, shelters, and
Mhm.
other business owners. In fact, even though we were competition with each other, we still helped each other out. Whether it was like a customer came to us that used to go to them, we would call to get a little background information. Or, we at one point, we both decided it was a good idea to start using the influenza vaccine, but we were the only two facilities that were going to start requiring it. So what we did is we joined forces and went around and contacted all the vets in the area and let them know that we're going to start carrying it. And we formed a collaboration with one of the vets where we offered a special. But that was just one way that I worked with another business owner in my same industry who was actually, just less than a mile from my facility. But there is a ton of ways that you can get value from creating relationships and networking with other business owners.
Yeah, I think in terms of just the competition, that when you're first getting into this business, there's a kind of a feeling of scarcity that you have to, kind of hoard all the customers to yourself, and that, you can't even talk to the other business owners that do the same thing that you do. But honestly, there are enough dogs and cats for all of us. And, no matter how busy you are, there's still plenty for your neighbor, and still there's ways that you can help each other and really be more collaborative. You can help each other watch out for a problem employee that you might have or they might have, so don't be afraid to call those people if you have employees in common or customers in common, or if they say, yeah, I also go to this other place, your competitor. Great, I'm going to call them and we're going to talk and find out what we need to do to help you, or to, show you out the door. But it really does help having those connections. And so the deeper the connection is, the more you actually can help each other, and the more you can really benefit from being in collaboration with your competitors.
Yeah, and I think that we really believe in the idea of abundance in the dog
Mhm.
owners community. Like Courtney was saying, there's enough animals to go around. There's enough business to go around. So don't be shy. It's hard because I think as people in the pet care industry, we're a little bit more introverted than maybe people in another industry. But so it is hard to kind of come out of your shell a little bit, but get out of your comfort zone and don't be shy. Try.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the other things too is that those networks that you can cultivate end up being very beneficial when it comes to, say, any kind of respiratory virus outbreak. Because if you had, like in my case, we had several businesses in Anchorage that were specialized just dog walkers, or just daycare, and then there were those few facilities that had multiple service areas and did lodging and grooming and daycare. But when we had a dog that came to us on a regular basis for daycare, but then went somewhere else when they needed to lodge, having an open communication channel between our facility and that facility, so that we knew that that dog wasn't going to be a vector coming back and saying, oh, this dog just brought this, particular strain of respiratory virus over. So, how can we contact vets in our area and see, are they seeing an uptick in anything coming out of that facility? Or it just, those open communication channels will help the spread of something as well. So.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just thinking about using networking through your customers. Like, don't be afraid to network with your customers too. So you want to give your customers the feel that not only are you the premier pet care facility that they want to come to, but you also have connections to the best vets in town, the best rescues in town, the best groomers in town, all the other services that are related to your services that you can connect them to, so that they automatically trust those people because they're connected to your business. So the more that you can help your customers, even if you just have like a great realtor or a great contractor or a great handyman, like if you can help your clients get what they need outside of pet care, then they're even that much more likely to trust you because they know you're looking out for their overall lives, not just their pets' lives.
Yeah. And I know, Carrie, Cindy, one of your clients that you coach, has a really great relationship with a rescue near her. Do you want to let people know a little bit about that and how she works that?
So Cindy actually has been with their Mobile County Animal Shelter for quite a while, and they actually had her step in and do some advising for the shelter itself. But in part of that assessment, she started to realize that there were a number of dogs that had been in the facility for more than 30 days, more than 45 days, and wanting to help those dogs to still be adoptable. She asked if she could take up to 8 dogs, because that's what she could dedicate as far as her lodging space, up to 8 dogs at a time, where she could have a dedicated staff person that would do enrichment and behavioral training with them, just to get them out of the shelter, get them into a calmer environment, and be able to do some mental work with them. And the shelter was so excited about that program, they insisted on paying her. So it's a win-win, because she's able to get dogs out, get some good quality training, and some time away from that more stressful environment for the dogs, which then they in turn become more adoptable. But it's also become a revenue stream for her. So it was kind of a cross relationship of passions for her, and it's really been beneficial to the dogs that she's been able to care for. So yeah, and I mean, that's just one example of a lot of ways that you can get involved with your community. I think back to one of the rescue groups that we were involved with. We didn't feel that we could have dogs from rescue come into our daycare, because our play groups were pretty set, and it was kind of disruptive when you had a dog that maybe a foster somewhere just come in for a day or two, just because dogs do carry energy that can be disruptive, and depending on their stress level and whatnot. But being able to provide a different service for them, and it was of the way we gave back to the community, that again, it helped with that rescue group, because they would promote us. They would say, after you've rescued this dog and they've been in your home 3 to 5 weeks, then go to Dog Tired and see if you can get an evaluation for your dog to go to that daycare, because they've done a great job supporting us. And so those types of things are just great as far as helping your business stay visible in the community, and to kind of uplift what you do as far as supporting other agencies or organizations in your community.
Yeah, that's great. You can get some of your employees to help volunteer at rescue groups or shelters, or you can do where you offer things to vets or rescue groups, like do lunch and learns, where you show up and you provide lunch, and it's a marketing option for you, but you're teaching the other professionals in your community that deal with your clients, your potential clients. You're teaching them things that they might not know a lot about. So not every vet clinic knows a lot about behavior or diet, for that matter. So you could be teaching them about the things related to those things. I mean, I know we had real struggles with that, but a lot of vets are now much more educated about those things than they used to be. But back 20 years ago, it was definitely not the case. So the more you can educate, your vet clinics, your shelters, your grooming facilities, the more that they're going to start referring to you, because you're going to be the local expert. And that's really what you want to establish yourself as, is the local expert in all those things.
I think about kind of the chaos of that clinic lobby, and how dogs interact, and that often the other end of the leash is not aware at all of what the interactions are or what they can mean. And being able to instruct your neighborhood vet clinic staff on what to look for, because it's natural in a vet clinic environment that they're wanting to keep dogs restrained on leashes separate from each other. But they're bound to come into contact with each other, because the majority of lobbies aren't enormous spaces. So just educating their front desk staff on these are the basic body language signals that you want to look at. And kind of the opposite of that is that we had areas that we wanted to tap into our clients to help train our staff on things. So we had a longtime client that was a chiropractor, and he came in and did a lunch and learn type session on body mechanics and how to properly lift water or lift a 5-gallon, bucket of this and lifting a dog. And it was great because he was able to give back in his area of expertise and do something for us because he thought we did such a great job taking care of his dog. So yeah, I think you can cultivate those relationships as a two-way street.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
great.
I think what the moral of the story is. Look, you're offering them some type of value, which is, offering some education that they could utilize. And in return, maybe they'll let you put a basket with your brochures and flyers, and you could attach a little treat next to your flyer that makes
Mhm.
your brochure stand out. And, as their customers come in and wait to get up to their appointment, they could be taking those flyers. Another thing, that's one of the things that I did to kind of get my name out in the beginning with my guerrilla marketing. It's an old term.
Mhm.
We laughed about that the other day, right?
Mhm.
But another thing that I did, now that we're on we've been talking about vets and how to kind of work with them, was, it just popped in my head, but when we would get a referral, because we always asked, how did you hear about us? And if it was from a vet shop that did refer us, we would send over like a $15 snack basket from Amazon. It was just real easy. I'd order it to Amazon and I'd say, thank you for referring this. And their whole staff got some treats. But
Mhm.
in return, my hope was the front desk staff or the people that were, checking in the pets and things like that, our business was at the top of mind awareness. So when they asked, hey, where do you recommend for us to go for daycare or for lodging, our name popped up because we were giving them snacks all the time. So
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's
yeah,
great.
that was one of the things that we had a good time doing. And I hope that they liked it too. So
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about just kind of a lead versus a referral, as far as the language goes, because when you're passing out cards and you hope somebody's going to call, you really have no idea if anyone's going to call. That's just a lead. If someone's like, "Oh, here's their card," give them a call. Or my neighbor Sally needs boarding. Here's her information. Like that's not really a referral. That's really just like a lead because Sally doesn't know you're going to call her. She may not even be prepared. She may not really be ready for you to call her. So if you can get the person who's trying to give you that lead to do an actual introduction, like could you do an email introduction? And that way it's like a really warm referral. It's a much more likely that you'll get that client if someone can physically introduce them to you either in person or over email. So ask for those introductions or give those introductions whenever you refer somebody to someone else, because that just adds that extra level of care so that it kind of seals the deal a little bit more than just like, here's their number, good luck, you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Does
So,
anybody have any questions out there that with any ideas or just anything off the top of your head that you want to ask us? Doesn't have to do with networking. Could be
or
anything.
it can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of your questions that you need help with, but you have all bunch of networkers on the call today. So we're here to help with that or anything else pet related.
Well, Courtney, do you want to talk a little bit more how you had your staff volunteer at the shelters and how that worked for you?
Well, we had a relationship with a shelter where they came to us. So we had a very formal relationship that we set up with the director of adoption. And basically, the way that it worked was they would they would have volunteers that would bring dogs to us once a week. We had dedicated like 3 to 5 spaces a week for shelter dogs to come for free evaluations and or free daycare. And they didn't ever use up all the spaces, but they knew they had a dedicated space on like Thursday or Friday, whatever the day was. And they would come and drop off. And those dogs who had been in the shelter either for a long time or who had been there for a few weeks and just hadn't really been evaluated, we would bring them in, do a formal evaluation, and then they could tell potential adoptees like or adopters like, hey, this dog has been evaluated at Dog Boys Dog Ranch, and this is what they know about this dog. They get along with these kinds of dogs. They don't get along with females or intact males, or they don't like cats, or I mean, we didn't always evaluate them with cats because we had one cat that lived on the property, but we would give them information that they didn't have otherwise, so that dog became more adoptable in the shelter when they went back. And so that was a really nice kind of relationship that we had. And in exchange, we did like it was an in-kind donation of all of our services. And in exchange, they gave us like a table at their annual gala, and they had a plaque on one of their enclosures that said, "This enclosure is sponsored by Dog Boys Dog Ranch." And so we had our name at the shelter. So every person who went through looking at animals saw our business name every time. And then they allowed us to put our information in their adoption packets. And that's also a whole nother ball of wax, just because you have to stay on top of making sure they have what they need. And so there has to be somebody following up and, reaching out to them regularly and making sure that they still have your information, and do they need more, or do they need help stuffing packets, or, whatever. So the volunteer work our staff did was with the dogs on our property. But my husband, when we first got started, one of the ways we got business was he would go to the Humane Society and teach classes, and people would want to sign up for more training after that, and so they would reach out to him for that. But
very smart.
Definitely, yeah, you can definitely volunteer. And he also would take dogs once a week. I think he would take dogs from the shelter really early in the morning and go to a local radio station and promote that one dog that week. It was like Dog of the Week, and he would try to get them adopted. And so we had a lot of free advertising on the radio, because people would say, "Oh, I heard your ad on the radio." And I was like, "We never advertised." It was just because we were there every week trying to help get a dog adopted that people remembered us for many years after that.
I mean, you guys were kind of like local celebrities, right?
We were, or at least we thought we were.
Maybe Bart thought he was.
Yeah, but at one time I was doing a bridal shower or baby shower for somebody, and I had dogs boarding in my home, and one of them was owned by the local DJ of that radio station. And somebody just said, "That's so-and-so's dog?" Oh, she goes, "My husband is going to die when he finds out that I'm at Dale Dudley's dog." They're just like, it was just a whole thing. We became, local celebrities that way. So it was fun. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad
thing. No, not at all. Yeah. I used to get recognized all the time for being an "Oh Say Can You" singer, because that's what they called the national anthem singers on our local hockey team. Mm-hmm. And we were like, "Oh, are you an "Oh Say Can You" singer?"
Yes, like that and more. If you only knew. I could sing you right out of this dance hall.
Awesome. Okay, well, is there anything else that we want to touch on? I mean, look, there's a ton of different ways you can do networking. It's really sky's the limit. Be as creative as you want. Just remember, it's a reciprocal relationship. So you're there to help each other. And it's a place for you to get support, because like I said in the beginning, oftentimes it is a really lonely place to be a business owner. And it's just nice to talk to someone who knows the pains and struggles that you've gone through, that can do a lot for you, for your mental health, and just to kind of maybe sometimes give you the lift that you need to keep going and being strong in your business. So
I would just add, if you have networking questions after today or even later today, go to the Grow Your Pet Care Business Facebook group and post your questions there. Like, there are pet care facility owners like the three of us who would be happy to give you ideas or answer questions that you have about networking or other pet related topics. Being a business owner is hard, so we got to stick together and help each other out.
Absolutely. All right. So I talked a little bit about Grow Your Pet Care Business. That is our Facebook group. So if you haven't joined, go ahead and join. And I'm going to put it on the screen right now. And we just have 2 rules for that group. Be nice and no selling. All right. Otherwise, we will see you next week for the Pack Talk, because that's going to be really awesome. I know that they have an exam time coming up. So we're going to discuss all sorts of things with that, and just really how it can give you some validation as far as being a pet care professional. So
yeah, it's a big deal. If you don't know about PAC, just definitely join us for that.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Take care.
All right.
Bye.